Hello, students. So let's have another topic of discussion in wildlife management. This topic is types of terrestrial ecosystem. According to the general definition by Wikipedia, any ecosystem which are found on the lands are classified or called as the terrestrial ecosystem. But based on the type of vegetation, that is the flora and the topography as well as the rainfall, the terrestrial ecosystems are again further classified or further characterized to more different forms. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about those different forms or different categories of terrestrial ecosystem, how rainfall affects them, what is the type of vegetation found, what is the type of status of the biodiversity, as well as the fauna, the different types of fauna found in different types of terrestrial ecosystem. So let's start. So on the basis of vegetation as well as rainfall, the terrestrial ecosystems are classified first of all as either taiga, which is also called as the coniferous forest or the mountain forest. Uh, then we have the forest ecosystem. Now see, forest ecosystems are again categorized under two different forms. Forest which comes from the temperate region, those which are in the uh, line or the Capricorn or the Cancer, which comes under the those are above the 30 degrees latitude, either north or south. So either Tropic of Capricorn or Tropic of Cancer. Those beyond Tropic of Capricorn or Capricorn or Tropic of Cancer, those forest regions are classified under the temperate forest regions, and those below 30 degrees of latitude of Tropic of Cancer or Tropic of Capricorn, which comes under the tropical belt. Those forests are called as tropical belts. As well as we have the equatorial region where the equator is present. So all the countries, all the land masses wherever the equator is passing, the forest region which are present in the equatorial region are called as the equatorial rainforest or the evergreen rainforest. So we will be discussing about those different types of forest. And then we have the grasslands. Grasslands are like the transitional land masses where the grasses are dominant. There are few shrubs or few trees. The vegetation is predominantly ruled or dominated by the grasses or the monosperms. We don't find the dicots, only the monocots are present. Different types of grasses, different varieties of grasses, and the fauna also depends on the type of vegetation. As there are grasses, there would be the grazers. And then we have the desert ecosystem. Again, we'll be discussing about different types of deserts. So it's not only that the deserts are hot deserts, there are also cold deserts. But what are the factors which converts any type of land mass into a desert, or we call it the desertification? So let's move ahead. Let's see what are the different types of terrestrial ecosystems. The first thing is the desert ecosystem. Now, whenever I say desert, whenever we hear a word desert, the first picture which comes in our mind is something like this: a dry region with a lot of sand, a little bit of grass or bushes, and then we have the camels, that is the major fauna of any desert ecosystem. This is the desert of Thar or Indian desert, or this is the Sahara desert, the largest desert in the world. I'll show you the map how Sahara is the largest desert in the world and what are the characteristics of desert. Now, when we talk about the desert ecosystem, see, primarily the most determining factor over here will be the rainfall. Rainfall in any desert ecosystem is very scanty, very low. The rainfall is less than 25 centimeters of per year. So you see, if there's less rainfall, obviously there's going to be less of vegetation, and the environment, the atmosphere will be dry and arid, and the temperature variation it's or temperature fluctuation is very high because whenever in the daytime the temperature is too high and the night time the temperature goes very low, so the fluctuation in temperature is very high, as well as the soil does not contain that much of moisture, but high minerals, high numbers of salt are present in the soil, and little bit of organic matter. As there are no vegetation, there is no deposition of organic matter, so there's less organic matter present in the soil, or we call it as the sand. So whichever region which has less amount of rainfall or scanty rainfall, as well as high mineral content in the soil, with less of organic matter, it leads to desertification of the land mass. So desertification is a continuous process. So deserts like extend and contract, and that's how different land masses are converted into deserts. So that's one type of terrestrial ecosystem, desert. And in such type of condition, whether it is the less moisture in the air because it's dry and arid, or there's less water in the soil, the type of plants or type of flora we find or type of vegetation we found in the desert ecosystem are mostly succulents. If you consider succulents, these are the type of plants or these are the type of vegetations we find in the desert ecosystem. These are called as the succulents, or we call them as the cactus. Cactus is the best example of succulents which are found in the desert ecosystem. So this picture is of a cold desert. This is the picture of Leh, where even if there's no hot condition, this type of condition is found where there's, even if it is cold, but the soil contains high amount of mineral and less amount of moisture or organic matter, no vegetation. The air is dry, even if it is cold, but the air is dry. There's no moisture in the air, and this type of condition also leads to desertification. This type of desert is called as the cold desert, and the type of desert we saw was the hot desert. Now, if you look at the desert, like say for example, in case of Sahara, Sahara desert is the biggest desert in the world. It is the largest desert in the world, and it is as good as of the size of United States of America. It's such a big desert. It contains numbers of countries, like it has Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Algeria, part of Tunisia, Morocco, and other countries as well. So this large number of countries which are found over here in the North African continent are under the area or under the boundary of Sahara Desert. So such a big landmass or terrestrial, dominant terrestrial landmass or terrestrial habitat or terrestrial ecosystem which is present. And the major fauna of this type of ecosystems are reptiles as well as the rodents. In case of mammals, only those mammals survive here who can adjust their body temperature according and save the water or conserve water, and who can survive in such dry and arid conditions. So the best mammal to survive over here is camel. And you know, this camel has so many different adaptations to their body, whether there's shape of the RBC or the storage of fat in the hump or the amount of water they drink up, and then the eyelashes or the other such different body morphological adaptations, whether the presence of the sole in the foot or the length of the legs. So this type of different types of adaptations what they have in their body are to survive in such a hot and arid climate or dry and arid climate. So this type of mammals or this type of fauna is found in the desert ecosystem. Let's move on to the next terrestrial ecosystem. We have the forest. Now let's come to the forest ecosystem. So forest ecosystems comprises of, first of all, I said the tropical rainforest. So all over the world, wherever there is the equator passing through any landmass, the equator, as you know, that equator gets the direct sunlight or the sun rays are perpendicularly to the 0 degrees latitude of the world, that is the equator. And the reason of that, the because of it, the temperature of this place is very high, as well as due to high temperature there's high precipitation as well, and due to high precipitation the rainfall on this area is very high. You get very high rainfall in the equatorial region, or the, and because of the rainfall there's large amount of moisture, there's large amount of water, and due to that there's high diversity of vegetation, and there's high diversity of fauna as well due to vegetation. So this type of region, this type of forest are called as rainforest, or we call it as the evergreen rainforest. And due to high temperature and due to presence of water, there's also high humidity, and because of high humidity and high water, there's again high precipitation. So the rainforest, actually the evergreen rainforest of the equatorial region, whether it is Amazon or whether it is the different, again different rainforest found in all over the world. Amazon, which is found in the South American continent, or then we have the rainforest type of ecosystem in the western ghats of India, where the fall is experienced every day. So every day there is rainfall, every day there is precipitation. The rainfall over here is more than 200 centimeters per year. That is quite high. So whereas 25 centimeters per year in case of desert ecosystem, over here we get more than 200 centimeter per year of rainfall. That is the reason there is too much of water. That's high availability of moisture, and due to the presence of large number of trees and due to large number of organic matter, the biomass or the soil of this type of forest is rich, highly rich in a nutrient in the form of humus or organic matter. This this gives a high fertility to the soil, and because of high fertile soil, the vegetation grows very well, and as a result of that, we have high biodiversity of animals, plants, insects, invertebrates like the whether there's insects, whether they or in case of vertebrates, we have the amphibians or the reptiles, and that is the reason most of the rainforest like are the endemic habitat of most of the reptiles and amphibians. So they are very rich in flora and fauna. In India, we see that the western ghats of India, right from the southern part of Maharashtra, from here to the tip of the Indian peninsula or the Kerala, the whole mountain ranges, they show the uh, evergreen rainforest type of vegetation or evergreen rainforest type of terrestrial habitat. So this is very important because we do have this type of rainforest type of forestation or terrestrial habitat in Indian peninsula. We Indians are very lucky to have such different types of. We have the desert ecosystem, we have the rainfall or the evergreen rainforest type of ecosystem as well. So this is the picture of the rainforest of the Western Ghats. Then we come to the temperate deciduous type of forest. Now, as I said, those land masses which are way beyond the 30 degrees latitude with the Tropic of Cancer or Tropic of Capricorn, they come under the temperate region, and temperate region experience less of sunlight as well as less of temperature. And the trees over here, they have to, or the landmass over here has to face a long winter of at least 6 months. And due to that, the vegetation, the forest ecosystem, or the land terrestrial ecosystem is adapted or to say to designed in that way. So the trees over here, they shed their leaves. I'm talking about the temperate deciduous forest. The trees over here, they shed their leaves during the winter, and in the during the autumn, they shed their leaves, and the new leaves grow during the spring season. So because of this, the uh, forest ecosystem, the forest type looks a little bit different all around the year. The forest changes the whole of the foliage. Foliage means the leaves structure, the canopies, they change their color, they change their size. The forest floor gets a high amount of organic matter because the leaves are shaded off. So the leaves fall down on the floor, and then it contributes to the deposition of the organic matter or the humus. So the soil of this forest is highly rich in nutrient and organic matter. The temperature of this place is around 10 to 20 degree. That is, I'm talking about the temperate deciduous forest. In a simple way, deciduous means, or deciduous type of vegetation means, where the uh, plants or the trees, they shed their leaves according to season, according to the climatic conditions. So in case of the temperate region, we have the temperate deciduous forest. In India, we have tropical deciduous forest. I'll show you what is tropical deciduous forest as well. So in the temperate region, they witness the temperature around 10 to 20 degrees. That is the normal temperature over there. And the rainfall is a moderate type of rainfall of around 75 to 150 centimeters per year. So it's not too high like in case of the evergreen rainforest kind of ecosystem. The rainfall over here is a moderate one, not too low, not too high. And because of the deposition of all the leaves during the shedding, the soil of this forest, or to say the forest floor, is highly rich in nutrient, and that supports the growth of different shrubs, trees, small grasses, and other different vegetations as well. The floor of the forest shows stratification. So we have tall herbs, we have shrubs. We also get to see different saplings, small saplings, and so that is the reason the vegetation of this forest is very high and very diverse because of the enrichment of the soil due to the leaves themselves. So, due to the 6 months long winter season, the fauna over here, the animals over here, they show a particular behavior known as hibernation or winter sleep. Uh, it is seen only in case of temperate deciduous forest. I'll give an example. The grizzly bears, they show hibernation. Okay, but the bear in Indian forest, the black bear, they don't show hibernation. Hibernation is only found in the grizzlies, or we say bears, the animals which are found in the temperate deciduous forest. But in case of the tropical deciduous forest, as there is no long 6 months long winter, you don't need to go for hibernation. Hibernation is nothing but winter sleep, or nothing but to conserve their energy, lower down their metabolic rate. They go for a long time of sleep. So they don't do any activity so that they don't require energy, so that they don't burn their energy, they don't consume their energy, and to if they don't consume their energy as there's long winter, they don't get food for that long period, they won't require that much of food. So before going into hibernation, these animals eat up as much as it is possible for them, and convert all the nutrient into fat, and then they undergo hibernation. And during the hibernation, this fat is used up by the animal's body by the metabolic process to generate energy, that is by gluconeogenesis. So this is the way how the fauna of the temperate deciduous forest survive during that 6 month long winter. Now we have the tropical deciduous forest as well, and those are found mostly in the central part of India. Now, what is the characteristic of tropical deciduous forest? See, this is the map of India. You can see different colors over here. We see tropical moist deciduous, then we have tropical wet evergreen. So this region of the Western Ghats, which shows the tropical wet evergreen, and then we have the tropical semi-evergreen over here, and tropical moist deciduous. This is the coastal region where you find the tropical moist deciduous type of forest. And the other region over here, this color is subtropical, is called as the yellow color, the tropical thorny vegetation. Okay, this one is the alpine, this one is the Himalayan moist temperate. Okay, so we see most of the tropical moist deciduous forest over here. This region, it shows tropical moist deciduous forest. If you look at the picture, you will get a better idea. This is the type of vegetation you see during the summer. In the tropical deciduous forest, what happens? Instead of winter or autumn, the trees shed their leaves during summer. What happens during summer, because the temperature is too high and leaves they do transpiration, and during transpiration water is evaporated out, and to conserve water, to prevent evaporation of water or loss of water, the trees shed their leaves. So there are no leaves, there is no transpiration, and if there is no transpiration, there is no loss of water. So during the dry season, during the summer season, all the plant they shed their leaves, and when they shed their leaves, so their branches become completely uh, blank, there's no leaves at all. And this happens during summer, and summer is followed by monsoon in the Indian peninsula, in the Indian subcontinent. Summer is followed by the monsoon. So when the monsoon comes, new leaves or the new foliage appears. So the thing what happens in winter in the temperate deciduous forest, it happens in summer in the tropical deciduous forest. This is a very important point to remember. What happens in spring in the temperate deciduous forest happens in the rainy season in the tropical deciduous forest. And The same thing implies over here also because of the presence of the large amount of foliage deposited on the forest floor. The soil of this forest is highly nutritious. It contains high amount of organic matter. This is a kind of a temperate deciduous forest. So you see that the leaves change their color during the winter season. They show senescence or aging, and the chlorophyll over here of the leaves is converted into xanthophyll, and then the aging occurs, and the leaves they become dry, and then they are shaded off, or they are fallen down on the surface of the floor or the surface of the forest. Then we come to another type of terrestrial ecosystem known as the taiga ecosystem, also called as the coniferous forest. It is also known as the mountain forest. This type of ecosystem is found mostly in those countries. Obviously, it is found in case of the coniferous type of ecosystem or terrestrial ecosystem is found in the American continent, especially in the North American region, where way beyond above the temperate region or above the temperate forest, temperate deciduous forest, where the temperature is too cold and the winter is too harsh. It is long as well as harsh, and the soil is acidic. It, it is poor in nutrient. There is no nutrient value to the soil. The reason for it, the vegetation of this place comprises mostly of spur, fir, and pine, and the leaves are needle shaped leaves, and these leaves have high amount of tannin in them. So when the leaves are falling down on the soil surface, the tannin in the or the tannoids in the leaf, uh, it has high amount of, it has a very low pH, and due to low pH of this tannoids in the needle leaves of these gymnosperms, the soil becomes acidic, and due to the acidic pH of the soil, no other vegetation can survive in that soil below the canopy of this gymnosperm. So this type of vegetation is found only in case of the coniferous forest. And whenever there are the coniferous trees, the gymnosperms especially, you will find that there are no other vegetations below them. But it may find that you may find there certain amount of plants over here, certain grasses over here. This is the picture of Srinagar, Kashmir. We have coniferous forest in the Himalayan mountain ranges in India. These are the characteristic coniferous forest trees or the gymnosperms like spruce. We have the spruce, we have pine, we have fir, larch, cedar, as well as hemlock. And I'll give you an example. The hill station of Uti. Once upon a time, as it is present in the Western Ghats, and normally, as I said, the Western Ghats show the presence of rainforest or the evergreen rainforest type of ecosystem, as well as they show a particular type of ecosystem or particular type of forest under the Shola forest, as well as certain regions show the grasslands. Earlier, there were no pine trees or eucalyptus tree, and this eucalyptus trees were brought by the Britishers, and they were planted over there. And the same thing happened. The leaf contained high amount of tannins and high amount of oil and high amount of tannoids, and that decreased the pH of the soil. The soil became too acidic. It lost its all nutrient, and there are no other vegetation which is surviving over there. So it lead to kind of a monoculture over there. Only one type of plant is surviving over there. That is the happening over here in coniferous forest. But coniferous forest, one more reason because other plants don't survive is that it's due to too long and harsh winter. Other plants cannot survive. As I said, the other plants like the uh, dicots, the leaves, they have a behavior of transpiration. So water is lost or water is evaporated out from the stomata. So leaf contains water, and in during the winter, if the leaf contains water, and in the winter season, when the water freezes, the leaf will die, and gradually, the presence of water in the uh, tree will also lead to death of the tree due to very low temperature. That's the reason the other trees cannot survive over here. Only the gymnosperms can survive. So we have the coniferous forest. If you look at the Indian map, you see the mountain forest over here in the state of Jammu, Kashmir, a little bit of Himachal and Uttaranchal, and then we have the northeast region from Assam to Meghalaya, Nagaland. They show presence of coniferous forest. Assam does not show presence of coniferous forest, but it shows presence of tropical rainforest type of ecosystem. Okay, and rest of the region we see the tropical deciduous type of forest. One more thing, what you see over here is this one. This is called the mangrove forest, which is seen in the coastal region. Wherever there is a coastal region, this over here, this region is the Chilka Lake in Odisha. It shows mangrove type of forest. Even in the most of the coastal region, you will find the mangrove type of forest or mangrove forest. Mangroves are those forest are those special vegetation which survive in the salt water, in the marine environment. And we one more type of forest we notice over here, uh, especially in the part of Rajasthan and Gujarat, as well as a little bit part of central Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra. That is called as the thorn forest. We'll come to those forest regions also. So the coniferous forest or the mountain forest or the taiga forest, which are found in the Himalayan mountain ranges in India. So we come to the another type of forest, that is the thorn forest. Thorn means a thorn or kata. Okay. So mostly, as you know, the thorn forest. So the vegetation over here will have a large number of thorns, and thorns because it is kind of a transitional phase because it's not completely desert or it is not completely deciduous. The vegetation over here, the flora over here, shows the adaptive radiations in the form of conversion of leaves to thorns to conserve water. It is characterized by dense scrubland. The forest vegetation is mostly dominated by shrubs. Shrubs which are nearby height of 5 to 6 feet or more than that, not more than 7 feet, and they are densely vegetated. And because due to dry region and warm temperate area, this type of adaptive relation takes place where the leaves are substituted by thorns uh, and spines, and the type of plant they grow in the region where the rainfall is less than 70 centimeter per year. Now see, it's not 25 centimeter, but it is 70 centimeters per year, so it's not that bad, but still it's not that sufficient enough for proper vegetation. And due to presence of this type of vegetation, the and dry type of climate, arid type of climate, the fauna also varies. uh, Even the trees, they have long roots which penetrate deeper into the soil for search of water. So they are very deep rooted. And the fauna varies. See, for example, in case of the best example of thorn forest is Gir forest. Gir is a thorn forest. And the fauna over here, if you see, most of the herbivores or the primary consumers, either antelopes or nilgais, they are dependent on these shrubs for their energy. And then we have the carnivores such as the jackals or the wolves or the lion, which are found only in the shrub forest. See, the lions are adapted or like designed to hunt in the shrubs or grasslands. They cannot survive in deciduous forest because lions, they can't run that agile. They don't have that much of agility to run across the forest in such a way that how a tiger or leopard runs in between trees. So that is the reason we find most of the fauna like the gir, which is a thorn forest, and we find fauna like lion over there. So the trees leaves are thick and small to minimize evaporation, as I said. This is the thorn forest. You can see the trees are not tall, tall more than 12 to 15 feet, and the reason of that is they are deep rooted and they don't. जितना ज़्यादा height होगा उतना ज़्यादा evaporation होगा, and to control evaporation, you can see the size of the leaves are so small, and the whole plant or the whole type of branch is completely covered with spines or thorns. And then we come to the last type of terrestrial ecosystem, that is grassland ecosystem. Grassland ecosystem is a transitional landscape where you'll find most of the monosperms or you say monocots and only few of the trees. Uh, they are found in both either in temperate or tropical regions. But if they are found in tropical region, they are called as savannas. If they are in temperate region, they are called as prairies. Grassland have a characteristics. Okay, so we see this is the Tropic of Cancer. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. So this is 30-degree north, 30-degree south, and this over here is the 0-degree equator. So wherever in the tropical region, wherever there is a grassland in Africa, we have the savanna. Uh, Serengeti is the biggest grassland over here. In Australia, we have. In Argentina, we have not Argentina, but in case of yeah, in Argentina, we have the pampas. If you look at the grasslands found in the North American continent, they are called the prairies. In the European continent, they are called the steppes. And grassland, as we have know that there will a majority of grasses or different types of grasses, biodiversity of grasses. Diversity will be low. Vegetative diversity, floral diversity will be low. Only grasses will be dominating. The grasses which are like due to only grasses, the soil fertility will be less in case of the tropical. But in case of temperate, the grassland, the soil fertility is quite high. The grasses, if you look at the grassland over here, you'll find the visibility is quite high. Animal can see for a very long distance. And as there are only thing animals can eat or the primary consumers can eat, that is the grass, and that's why the faunal diversity will be majority of grazers. Grazers, those animals graze on grass, so they won't be leaf eaters but grazers. Grazers like the yaks or sorry, not yaks, the bisons in the North American prairies, or in case of Africa, you will find the wildebeest or zebras. In terms of India, you will find the nilgais or the boss gores or the gores, the uh, wild buffalo, which we call. And that is the reason most of the grasslands in India are found mainly in the Himalayas, and the major grasses which are present like Cynodon digitaria or Desmodium setaria are present in the grassland. So this is one again a grassland, a temperate grassland. Whole mountain is covered with grass. There's no a little bit of vegetation in forms of small trees or small